I'm Dylan Playfair,
And I'm Tyler Smith.
and this
Is Bromance.
Nailed It.
All right, so this is a full circle moment for me. My former podcast co-host, a proud resident, not resident, current resident, I guess, from St. Catharines, Ontario, one of the funniest Instagram dads that you will ever meet, the proud dad of Mac and Slater, the proud husband to Keish, my boy, Riley Sheahan. How the heck are you?
I'm good, buddy. This is a nice little, I'm usually in bed by 9 p.m., so this will be nice to chat with the fellows a little and then tuck it in after a little banter.
That's awesome. That's a pretty good mark of character. If not one time in the intro did I hear any hockey stats. Just being a funny beauty with kids. That's
Probably because
that's a
there's
pretty
not
good
really
sign.
stats to be.
There's a couple. There's a couple. I understand the feeling though. Trust me.
Yeah, I'd like to. Career's behind me now. It's the highlights are the kids, and I take the funniest dad, their Instagram dad. That's a compliment. That might be one of the best I've heard.
For everybody, just like the recent one lately, I don't know what you got. You must have got an Amazon package or something, but he put like bubble wrap on his head, and he just put up this random Instagram story and said, "I'm an airhead." Just like little like dad jokes like that. But Riley, it's like I said, this is a full circle moment for sure. We had some fun. We have kept in touch too, which is obviously been a treat. And yeah, watching you grow from, I only know you really, I was a retired hockey player, I guess you could say, and tapping into your creative side, and obviously our journey on the podcast together. But we do have to go back to the start. I mean, let's talk about the upbringing. Let's talk about early Riles. Let's talk about yeah, even just like your family. I mean, obviously you're a big family guy, and we talked about that many times. And I want to give you the opportunity to give credit to the incredible family that helped obviously make you the man that you are today. And yeah, talk about just growing up and get into hockey, and then obviously yeah, the fact that you wanted to be an NHL player and did it.
You kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, I was just fortunate enough to be under a roof with two caring parents and an amazing sister, and I'm learning about it so much more now as a parent. But like, what kind of goes into just creating an atmosphere for your kids to grow and to be free and feel like a lack of judgment. I don't want to sound like a today's day, like kids are so, but like just being around hockey, and sometimes like it's sometimes tough to just see the landscape that's set out for kids. So when I think about my childhood, like it was great. I had two parents that were teachers, so they were always around kids, and they knew how to sort of treat kids. They knew how to lead by example. They knew how to show me the ropes, and even in like a subliminal type way where it wasn't always like teaching and lessons, and it was more just by example. I had two parents who loved sports, loved fitness, valued friendship, and valued time with people who knew how to have fun. And I think that just showed me a lot about like what life was about, and just work ethic, right? Like, I don't think I ever felt pressure to play hockey. Like, I grew up playing a lot of sports, and then just sort of hockey was the one that landed. I always tell people this story. Like, I loved basketball, and I played up until the ninth grade. But I remember my high school team, we were like a pretty good team in Niagara or in Ontario or whatever. But then we went across the border and we played Niagara Falls High School. They had like Johnny Flynn, who was a first rounder to Minnesota Timberwolves. I think their starting five was all like D1 players. They're throwing alley-oops. They beat us by like, I think it was like 80 points or something. And that was like light bulb moment. It was like, hey, they should stay off the hardwood.
Stick to what you know, kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, but like they sort of pushed other sports. They pushed art. They pushed music. So it was just a well-rounded childhood. And like I said, like having kids now and just seeing the importance of like allowing them to just create, and allowing them to just figure things out for themselves, and then just help create a path for them if they do find an interest, I feel like was sort of the epitome of my childhood. So it was good.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah, it's funny, like hockey. When you're in it, it becomes your whole world, and it's something that you don't really at least when I was in it, the end of the road or the end of the career wasn't something that a lot of guys thought about. And then when you do transition out and you realize, you're still so young. I mean, to be told in your mid-30s you're old, and then to get into the real world and realize we're all just starting out, I think, having that foundation and having that well-rounded understanding of family dynamics is so important. I think a lot of people get it from sport, but to have that sort of that foundation laid, it makes sense as to why you're the Instagram dad.
Yeah, no, and even just to go off that, like, I wouldn't say I was ever like comfortable retiring. Like, it was honestly, I think right when I retired, I thought I was going to be a lot more comfortable doing it than until like I think this past year was the first year really without hockey, and even like without hockey on my mind, thinking I was going to maybe give it another try. I think like as time went by, I just felt like I had the tools to sort of start thinking elsewhere and maybe just like find a passion elsewhere and just transfer the skills over that allowed me to have a hockey career to something else. So, and like I said, like that I feel like was carried over from a good childhood and learning those lessons and those skills as I grew up.
Right, right. I'd love to hear more about your journey from hometown into junior into pro. Like, what was your obviously we can hockey DB it, but it's a lot more fun to hear it from the Riley's mouth. So I'd love to I'd love to know your sort of your stepping stones that took you to pro hockey.
I always played in my hometown. I started playing AAA like at a younger age, like whatever 9 or 10, whenever you usually start. And then I went. I actually played junior B. Once my draft year ended, I committed to go play at the University of Notre Dame, and I played junior B here in St. Catharines. Lived at home, and then I played 2 years. And then after my second year, I went to University of Notre Dame when I was 17, and then I got drafted out of college after my freshman year to the Wings, and then I stayed for another 2 more years and then signed after my junior year. I think at that age too, or that era, it was a little bit different for an Ontario kid to go play college hockey. Like I said, both parents were teachers, so the education part was, I think, attractive, and I felt like my journey helped me just staying at home. I think like hockey players leaving when they're 15 or 16, whatever it is, like it obviously works, but I don't know if I was necessarily ready. Like I wasn't even ready at 17 to go away to college, just dealing with like homesickness and like things like that. So it ended up working, and it was a great time. Like I had so much fun playing juniors, like small town hockey, and you're with your buddies and you get like your 20-year-olds, your 16-year-olds. It's just an interesting dynamic, and we had a really good group. And then playing at University of Notre Dame was awesome. Like very obviously a lot of pride and aura around that school. And then just like social was so much fun with the football games and things like that. I met my wife there, so we had a lot of fun.
This is a super deep question, and I only ask it because I know I can ask you this. Like, honestly, you look back on Riley leaving home at 17, having such a, stable, just like like pure home life, community, like everything. What do you wish you would have known, and what kind of advice would you give now to a 17-year-old Riley? Like, it's funny because we've had so many conversations before, but it's always, like you and me, not really asking us or each other questions. So now that I'm like, okay, open season, like this is sweet.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything that comes to mind right away, like of looking back and just being like, damn, I wish I would have, done that a little bit better?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think there's like a lot that when I stopped playing, I really like reflected on, and like I'd get emotional talking about it. Like you're so driven, like you're so just like you like, and I don't think you can be any other way to get there. For me, I really wish I could have figured out like what was driving me.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a thing for kids to maybe like realize at a younger age. It's hard to get deep with kids that are in that position, right? Like when you're 16 years old and you're really good and everyone's telling you you're really good, but like you should understand like why are you doing this at the core? Like why do you love strapping on your skates and skating and playing and going to tournaments? And like, is it because of the validation you get as a human, or is it because you just love it? Like you love making plays. I was sort of mentoring this one kid, and he just said like, I forget about everything else when I go out onto the ice. And I was like, that's perfect, man. Like dig into that. And when things start getting hard, like just remember that like this is your safe space. But for me, I just felt like that thinking process might have been a little bit absent, and I had like a lot of momentum off of like, oh yeah, like that's Riley, the hockey player, like, oh, he's like, that was a sick goal you scored last night. And it's easy to go to the rink when you're kind of riding that high, but then when things stop and it's not Disneyland anymore, and you're like, now you're grinding, now you haven't scored in however long, now you're like, you're not playing as much, or you just get scratched. Like, it's like, what do you have to fall back on? And you start to forget why, right? So I think that's one thing that I really wish I maybe could have changed, is just my relationship with the game. But then in saying that, you never know what happens. Like, you obviously get to a point because you're so hyper driven. And then another thing that just sticks out to me is just like, it's not that important. Like, it's like important when it's going on, and like you think that there's all this attention on you, but like, I really wish that I didn't like wake up every morning with like anxiety that I was going to be late to a meeting, or like I was going to like not perform my best, or like all these things that get you so like amped up. Like, I went through 2 years, I think I puked before every game because I was so nervous, like right when I started. And I was like, what, like for what? Like, so I just wish maybe I would have like taken a step back and just enjoyed it more from the core. Like, it was a hell of a ride. It was awesome. But I think there was a lot of distractions about like, kind of like worrying about things that maybe were out of my control.
It's why you have to be mid. It's only game. The universe so humongous big.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, when lost, seek goaltender advice, man. It always.
Oh,
uh, that's fantastic, man, and it's interesting too with the path that you chose. It makes a lot of sense knowing about your parents now, because at that age, when you're told you are that good, and when you are that good, and in the in St. Catharines, um, everyone's got to be saying you're going to the O, and you go to the show, and to sort of take that alternate route where this is important. I have to get my schooling, and I think some kids who have that, like, the only thing that I'm gonna do with my life is play in the NHL. It makes a lot of sense to hear that perspective of, like, searching for that drive, that meaning. And yeah, it always I always wondered about natural talent, because that was something that I never had in hockey. It was pure work ethic and drive, and a lot of it was because of my dad having made the NHL, and I wanted
yeah.
to sort of do right by the family name. And then when hockey ended, I wanted to do something that I had traditionally had the sort of affirmation from, and it was drama class, it was acting, it was that feeling of, oh wow, like I feel validated. And then when you don't have those auditions go your way, or you don't have those games go your way, you have to go, okay, what's the thing that's having me show up on a daily basis? And I think it's important for everyone to ask themselves, like, what's
Yeah.
what's your North Star? What's your driving force?
Yeah. No, 100%. I'd be interested when you said that too. Like, did you ever have a problem? I mean, obviously I think when hockey's so important, or when a sport's so important, like stopping is difficult. But like for you, did you ever feel like going into drama and acting, like it's so different to see like a hockey player get into something like that? Because like, I mean, you know how it is. Like, it's like expressing yourself as a hockey player is not always the most normal thing. So did you ever find like that path was not like frowned upon, but just maybe hard for you to actually pursue, because you're maybe worried about your old hockey buddies, or guys that you were like kind of were used to hanging around, might think of you differently?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, 90% of what I was doing in class was breaking down this not wanting to be cool, and not showing emotion, which is that's the job, right? Like, that's the entire that's what we do when we're acting, is we're being honest in front of the camera. And I had an acting coach say, you have to not be afraid to not be good. Like, you have to not be afraid to suck. You have to be willing to fail. And I started making these connections between sport and acting. And it's, you have to show up. You're only as good as your last shift, your last game. You're playing a role within a team in a bigger picture. You have to understand, like, what it is you do well and bring that to the show or the audition or the movie. And once I started finding the commonality and the parallels, it became so much easier. But the initial, how do I be vulnerable? That was really hard. And watching it on, we would film scenes and watch it back, and I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible. Oh, this is a bad idea. Why did I do that? What am I good at, But that driving thing was the affirmation of being in the room and making guys laugh, and being, a good storyteller, and seeing the guys that I played with that went on to play pro. They had this sort of, they had a natural talent, and then they, fueled that with work ethic. And I thought, if I can find something that I have a bit of a natural ability to do, and then, use this work ethic that I've learned through sports, I was very confident that it would work out. And fortunately, I was crazy enough to try it.
Yeah. Well, good for you. I give you a lot of props for that.
Hell yeah, man. I think there's a little bit, even like we don't have to get into it, but like a little bit of like imposter syndrome. And I think that obviously stems from like our backgrounds, but like even still to this day, once again, not to make it about me, but like speaking, like I even like go up there and joke. I'm like, I have an immense amount of imposter syndrome. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, what are you going to learn from me? And I think, I don't know what that stems from, but I got a good quote from Max Kerman's book, like Try Hard. And he says it perfectly. He's like, I came to learn that the unknown shouldn't be feared. It could be met with curiosity and understanding that the path forward is what you make of it. And I think that's something that, knowing both of you, I think that's something that we all deeply relate to. But back to you, Riley, like, you're playing in the NHL. Sick. Like this is it. Like you did it. And now like, I want to obviously ask, because I now have experienced, not like directly, but I know that you still have your core, like from back home, from when you were growing up, like Dan and the boys, and like, and that's something that, we'll get into straight shooters, because like they've done such a good job at supporting you. And I think that's like, truly you can see like the genuine relationships that you have, because like your people, if they're willing to support you in your endeavors, like I think that you can see that with your friends. So I mean, I think you were coming home most summers anyways, but like, from Notre Dame to Detroit to, Edmonton, like you're always moving, but I think you did a very good job of staying connected. And obviously our podcast is called Bromance. And I think, understanding you and just your ability to maintain those, I want to know like what's worked for you to like over these years to now be able to like full circle moment, you move back home and you like pick up with your boys like nothing like nothing happened.
I have like a one kind of big group here, and then sort of like they all sort of go into like subgroups, and they're I don't know. I just kind of I think I got lucky with how close we bonded since. I mean, some of them since I was 5 years old. Dan, obviously, my being family. Like, yeah, it's just like small town love. Like they just everything that I did, I felt like they were right there with me. And like, dude, you should have seen these guys. Like from Notre Dame to when I started playing the NHL, like these guys just like weave like organically just weave their way into the team to where like if I go to do like a Notre Dame reunion or something, and they're asking me like, how's Dan doing? Like how is like how are the boys doing? Like, and then like I'll go like, dude, I was just in Detroit. I was in Detroit for the 100-year
Yeah.
anniversary. Same thing. Like they're like, how are you boys from back home? And so many funny stories. Like that was one really cool thing about a lot of the organizations I played for, especially Detroit. Like they made it such a family feeling in there that like guys could have their friends. And I mean, we were only a 4-hour drive, not even, to Detroit. So it was just like it was. I mean, just like I don't want to say hall pass. I don't mean a hall pass. It was
You're
just like
bugging distance, so you're close enough that your buddies could be like, hey buddy, what are you
yeah,
doing?
exactly.
There's no
Yep.
time changes, pal. I could drive,
Yeah.
I could be there after work.
Yeah, like I was literally thinking about it when I was in Detroit. It was a couple weekends ago, and then it just something came over me, and like these guys were at our end of the year parties. Like there was times where like players were leaving credit cards with them to just like buy whatever like drinks and whatever else they wanted at the bar, and like they would go somewhere and come back to grab their credit card. Like one funny story, Dan, he get a little like chirpy, and he likes just like like jabbing and whatnot. And Todd Bertuzzi was out with us, and he was just getting a little too confident. And Gert was like, "Dan, you got to go for a walk." So Dan's like,
Take
"Yeah,
a
like,
lap.
good one. Like, I'm not going for a walk." Like, he faked like he like was walking away, and then he kind of came back, and it was like 2 seconds later, and Bert's like, "No, like go."
A full lap.
And we watched him go like the whole like the whole perimeter of the. But like that was just like the relationships that we had there is so much fun, and like that sticks out to me now about like when like being done. It's just like I got to share it with so many of my close pals. Like we just had such a blast.
Okay, so even to touch on that, and this is kind of to talk about, the hockey world. So I was just watching something, I think it was like the San Jose Sharks social media. You know how all these teams are doing, like guys walk off the ice and they're, asking questions. And I think the question was like, what is your favorite thing about the NHL and like playing in the NHL? And obviously all the young guys were like the food, the hotels. And then like Toffoli walks in, who's obviously, played many, many years. And he instantly was like the relationships. And I think obviously you were very lucky in the fact that your friends, your boys got to experience a lot of things with you. But, what do you take away from the game itself? Like I'll just leave it at that.
For me, it's tough because I played on so many 1-year deals.
Yeah.
And I like, especially once I left Detroit. So I was in Detroit for about 5 or 6 years, like in Grand Rapids for a year. And then, so like that was home for me. And that was like where I had a lot of close friends and I felt really comfortable. And then once I left there, I was in Pittsburgh for a year and a half. And then after that, it was all 1-year deals. And like you go to new teams and you play with guys who you think like you could be like absolute boys with, and you could be
Yeah.
really close friends, but then you're just gone. And like it's hard to keep so many relationships alive. And it's kind of like there's like a pattern to it. It's like you keep chatting over summer, and then you like follow them the next year, but then it's just like it just naturally sort of dies off, which was hard for me. And it was really hard for me to perform. I felt like when I necessarily didn't like totally engage myself with my teammates, especially like when you're getting called up and sent down. And like I was never like a tough guy or anything, but I remember one story when this was right at the end. I was in Rochester and Buffalo going back and forth, and one of our younger guys just got like buried right in front of me. Like this was like with 2 seconds left on the clock. Like he tried to score an empty net. Almost remember when Scheifele hit Jake Evans.
Yeah.
Similar to that, maybe not as big, and I was right in front of me, and I'm like, I'm not like, it takes a lot for me to get angry, but in my head I was like, what? I couldn't justify like going and sacrificing my body for someone who I didn't even know the kids. I don't want to be rude. I didn't know the kid's like first name, just because I just got there, and like I felt like really bad anxiety about it after the game, and I was like, I
Yeah.
let the team down and whatnot, and then I ended up leaving like a little bit later, and that was my last year. Like I had a hard time because I couldn't value my relationships because I just couldn't get to know anyone.
I think it's fair to say that while we both love friendships, we both love love. And the cool thing is, charm is a part of our real life love stories.
When the time came to propose to Kat, I worked with the team at Charm to design a ring that really reflected just how much I love her.
And when Jen and I exchanged our vows, we also exchanged wedding bands from Charm. Charm isn't your average mall jewelry store. Aside from being proudly Canadian owned and operated, they're also so proud to be a part of your love stories.
You can buy something right from the case, or like me, you can design something custom and one of a kind.
I'm many things, Ty, but I'm not a jewelry designer. That's where Charm comes in to help with the assist.
And not only does Charm have the most incredible selection of gifts for literally anyone in your life, they come with warranties, unbeatable pricing policies, free cleanings, financing plans, and so much more.
Charm Diamonds has been around for over 50 years, and you can shop in one of their many stores across Canada or online. Visit charmdiamonds.com now.
It's so interesting hearing, having stayed in the same town for so long and having the opportunity to play essentially the majority of your junior career and then playing pro so close to home. Whereas my upbringing was sort of the inverse of that. We had the summers in one spot, but it was the longest we were ever in one place was 5 years, and then it was every 2 or 3 years we were moving as my dad was going up the ladder, and there's an absolute sense of like, I'm not gonna be here for very long, so the people you do let in, it's got to be very natural and very quick, and it can hurt when you tear apart, and you're like, well, I will likely never see this
Yeah.
person again. But it's funny, it sort of, in my experience at least, it allowed me to recognize quite quickly people that I was going to gel with, and
Mhm.
you know, even though those times are short, it's like, I think we're gonna get along well.
Yeah.
And
For
we may
sure.
not be here for a long time, but we're here
Yeah.
for a good time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I love like that was one of the best parts about hockey is just like you find your guys that you just have that bond with. And I mean, like I said, like Detroit was really easy for me. I had a year or two in Detroit where it was tough, but like at least I felt like I still was like the guys were still in my corner. I didn't feel like I was on an island. Sometimes you would go to those like some other teams, there's maybe one or two like particular that you just didn't feel like that comfort. It is what it is. I mean, it's part of bouncing around and whatnot. But it does make things easier when you have that like
Stability.
yeah, the stability and just like the comfort with even if it's just like a handful of guys that like it's effortless to go for dinner or to be, to banter, whatever it is.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead, and I want to go back to obviously like your decision to retire, but even because this is kind of off of your point right now, you just had, a great birthday. Like it looked like you guys just had a blast, and you wrote this post, and it was, expressing gratitude. And how was that evening for you? Like I know you've had some home, you're back home for a while now, but like it seemed like an evening like that with your friends, like all your people, like I could just even sense through your Instagram post that you were just like bursting with joy and gratitude. Like, I mean, obviously, a couple pints, stories are shared. Like, I want to know, like, even just from like a, man to man, like, how was an evening like that? Where I know you don't like celebrating yourself, but I think it's probably one of the first birthdays where it's like, this is my life. Like, how beautiful it is that I get to live with, my lovely wife, and I'm back home, and like I want to know like how that was for you.
Yeah. No, it was great. It wasn't just the night, right? It was the next day. I felt like maybe it's just getting older. I like when I'm like hungover, I get like a little bit more like
Emotional.
emotional.
Yeah. 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 I'm just going through it.
Yeah.
I wake
Hey,
up and I'm
baby, I
crying.
love
I
you.
wake up and I'm just like cry, like
Yeah.
no,
The right song comes on, and you're just. Yeah.
Alexa off.
Yeah,
Alexa
Alexa,
off.
next song. Next song. Play Lizzo.
No, it was. I woke up and I'm just bumming around the kitchen, and obviously it's the day of my birthday, and Slater, my older boy, comes up and he's like, "Dad, can I draw a picture of you like
Yeah.
sitting at the table eating birthday cake?" And I was like hell yeah, dude, like awesome, like just felt like really like warm about it, and then like he just went and grabbed his paper and his markers and just planted himself at his little picnic table, and then like I gave my wife a hug. It's just like one of those moments where like your body just sort of like you're like it's almost like you're watching it on top of the kitchen and just like
Yeah.
very like thankful that kind of like the moment I was in. And then I ended up going for a walk to just shake off the cobwebs and listening to some music, and I just like I don't know, I just like it was an amazing night, like just everybody in one room just exchanging stories and like lots of laughs, and then we stumbled around a couple other bars and ended up getting home at like 2:30 in the morning and made myself
When's
a
the last
grilled
time you did that?
yeah, not not very often. Um, and I just like I don't know, like I just felt like it felt like more at ease. I just felt like it was more me, and yeah, it takes a little bit for me to like write something like that, but I don't know. I just like had a moment of gratitude because it was just a special day, and yeah, like I think sometimes you just get caught up with like there's not much going on, and there's like things get mundane and whatever else. But it was just a moment where I was like, man, maybe like there's a lot going on that I just have to notice.
I got a question. I want to go back a little bit to the play you talk about where you're on a new team, but he gets hit. Maybe in another season you would have been mitts off scrap. That was your last season of playing?
That was my last season in the NHL, like in North America. Then I like left went out to Europe thinking that maybe I'd sort of get reignited, and after that season, I just stopped.
I bring that up because I've never shared this story with anyone, but hearing that sort of, I remember I was playing my last year of junior, and the year before I fought all the time. I just all I wanted to do was prove everyone wrong that I belonged. And if anyone ever chirped me for being there because of my dad, I'd beat the wheels off. That was my whole MO. And I remember I was playing an exhibition game. I got hit. I turned around and it was their tough guy, and he asked me to fight. And I just remember thinking, I, and
Yeah.
I was like, no, man, I had fought the day before. My hands were sore, and I got into the dressing room at the end of the game, and I thought, okay, there's probably someone behind me who wants this more than I do now, and perhaps this becomes dangerous if I keep playing, not just physically but mentally. If I start playing this game beyond the place where I feel like that that isn't what my heart's in, will I resent this game? And I talked to my dad about it, and he said, yeah, that's whatever you do, don't play this game past the point where you still want to go play beer league with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to hear that
Oh,
parallel,
for sure.
because it's like at a point in time, I think in everyone's career, they're like all piss and vinegar and unwilling to do anything it takes. And there's something that happens, and it is sometimes it's one moment and it just kind of sits with you, and you, man, was that it? And it wasn't until I had the hindsight to look back and have similar moments like that where I'm happy doing what I'm doing and going, oh,
Yeah.
that was probably a necessary ingredient, that feeling to be where you were on your birthday, and where, I've been on film sets. I'm like, oh yeah, thank
Yeah.
this is where I'm supposed to be. And
Yeah. 100%. Especially like when you talk about like sacrificing your body. Like I don't really watch much hockey anymore. I don't like watch much sports, and I love going out on the ice and just like feeling like the creativity and like making plays and things like that. And but sometimes like I just see some of the injuries and some of the, like the fights and like the hits guys are taking. I'm like, and that I'm not saying like they shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying like I to myself, I'm glad that I'm not doing that anymore, because I sort of lost sight as to why I was doing it, you know? So yeah, it's, you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or else like you said, that's like, that's when you get hurt, and then now your head's like, you're not, and like you're trying to recover, but just, I don't know, it could be a recipe for disaster.
sometimes, doors close and
Yeah.
and windows open, and I love the saying, you thank God for unanswered prayers, because the things that you think you wanted so badly, when you look back through the rear view, you're like, oh man, I'm so much happier that I didn't take that turn, because man, things could have turned out differently. I could have been in Europe for like 10 years doing what? Oh boy.
Yeah.
And not to say again that that's, like you said, that there's anything wrong with that, but just everyone's journey's different.
For sure.
And I think now, like, obviously we do, like, we kind of briefly touched on it already. And I know that retirement for you and a lot of individuals, not even just in the sport of hockey, is like not an easy transition. And I think, you did what a lot of guys probably wouldn't do, is tap into creative side and like try things and like actually just like, give it your best shot. And I think I want to know, like, who did you really lean on in like those times of like, and I'd imagine that, your dad, I know he's a voice of wisdom, and I know that you probably leaned on him, but like, who talk about that transition, and now obviously you getting to a place, because I can't imagine that from retirement to now was the easiest, but I know now that you are at that place of like you were content and like you were like grateful for the journey, and now you're grateful for the path forward, and like I want to know how that was.
It was hard. So like I retired, and then I went back in thinking I was going to start playing again, just because I didn't really have much else to do. And I was like, I thought maybe I wanted it. And then I don't know, Ty, if we ever talked about this, but I had a kind of a bad kitchen accident. I burnt my hand really bad, so I couldn't put it in a glove. So then that like stopped me. If I was training and skating again, and then I couldn't skate. So that was like the universe telling me just maybe that's it. And I just kind of just said, screw it. And then it's sort of like, I don't know. I felt like for a long time, I just was like, whatever, like, it's just, I'll be able to just figure something else out. And I don't think like I really necessarily like gave it the most thought as to how hard it was going to be. And I ended up speaking with like a psychologist or whatever you would call, and we sort of just like peeled back the layers and got a little bit emotional about it and figured some things out, and that really helped me. And then yeah, like having my people here to like just lean on. I think that where it was affecting me most was just like physically, and like patience was so short, and like I felt like I was like letting everybody down because I couldn't function the way I wanted to. And it's still like an ongoing battle. Like I feel like I still have like stuff to work through, but at least like I'm a little bit more cognizant. I'm kind of like more clear with what's going on in my head, and hopefully a little bit more expressive to those feelings. But I don't know, like it's never easy. There's a lot of days where like if I'm watching hockey, I'm like, dang, I think I could be doing it again, or like I just like enjoy like being in the locker room getting ready for a game, like listening to music, like all the boys taping their socks, and you just like those little imagery things that like I think of, and I kind of like I miss it. But like we talked about, like at the end of the day, there's a lot of other things that I'm excited for. And when I weigh the pros and cons, I just don't think I could be doing it. Like I play like a higher paced beer league game Monday nights, and I'm like, I'm cooked Tuesday.
Dude, I preach, brother. Yeah, you're like, I could go back, and then you have like one shift, and you're like, how much more time is left on the run clock?
Yeah.
There's no whistles, and you're just like, I pitched holding some practice ice for my beer league team, and the guys looked at me like I had three hands. Like I miss it a little bit, just like silky tape passes. Let's get some horseshoe going,
Yeah,
play some
for
flow
sure.
drills.
For sure. Sometimes I get a little too like hands on with my like demonstrations. I go out with like a U16 team, and like I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go around this cone, and then I'm down in the other. I'm like taking a flopper, like
You can hear the crowd.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I gotta say though, and this is a completely side point to the whole thing, but like, so Riley's wife runs workout classes, like full blown like hit classes, and it's fascinating. I play beer league like 2 or 3 times a week, and it is fascinating the difference between like that type of cardio and hockey cardio.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I went and visited him, and we were doing this like Misty Music Festival. Riley was doing a pop up for Straight Shooters as clothing, and I remember we woke up on Saturday and we had a full day at the music festival. We were gonna get there like noon. And we woke up and did one of Keisha's workout classes. And like, okay, I thought it went great. The hardest thing I've done in years, but like I thought it went fine. And it got to the point where like the hours went by, and my body started to slowly shut down more and more as I was at the festival. And I looked at Riley, we were supposed to golf in the morning, and I looked at him, I was like fully like pale. I was like, I had the cold sweats, like I was like shaking, and I was like, dude, I can't golf. Like I'm fucked up right now.
You're looking up rhabdomyolysis on your phone. You're like, am I freaking down?
Am I dying? Like my body was like literally shutting down. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it was at the end of like a lot of travel and stuff, but it was
Yeah.
literally like that workout class just shook me to my core. So,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah,
okay,
that's fine.
Straight Shooters, let's talk about it, man. Like I think your creative outlets is it is inspiring. Like I'm not just saying that as a friend. Like I think what you've done, and the fact that you are going to festivals and doing pop-ups, like I think it is it's cool to see, man. Like it is, and like it is even to see hockey fans come up to you at these festivals and like notice you and then be like, this is my brand now. So who pushed you? Who motivated you to do that? I know that a big thing for you was obviously when you retire, you wanted to tap into the creative outlets that you never really got the opportunity to with, being so driven with hockey. Talk about the brand, talk about, give yourself a little plug, and like obviously the people around, and like I said, like your friends are supporting you in photo shoots and all of this, like talk about it.
Yeah, people sort of like ask like where it came from, and I don't even really like know. But we moved into our house here, and we had a space in our basement for a pool table, and like that's kind of I feel like where it sort of started is like I started playing a lot of pool, and I sort of started like I love like classic rock, and like I love all music, so I wanted to build like a little bit of like a not a man cave, but more of like a just like a spot where I like enjoyed being, and that was going to be around the pool table. So it's outfitted now with like art with like like Stevie Ray Vaughan to Jay-Z to Mac Miller to John Lennon, and like like Michael Jackson. It's just like, it's like this sort of just threw all this stuff up on the wall. We got my record player down there. My dad gave me all of his old records from when he was a kid. So it's just like, to me, it's got a cool vibe down there. I don't get to spend much time down there anymore because I'm a kid, but it's still there. Yeah. Then I just started thinking about like time back when like that was like the spot where you went was the pool hall, and like you went to these spots where you valued what was playing on the jukebox, and you valued just seeing like your buds from college or high school, whatever, like just like, and it was a surprise. You didn't plan it out. It just was a surprise. And I kind of just like was thinking about like these social interactions that people used to have, where it was just like way more like passionate, less phones, less plans, and more just like, just a little bit more, I don't know, spontaneity or whatever the word would be. So I just started thinking about like what people would wear and what people would do. And I was like, you know what, it would be really cool. I always love going into like PacSun and Boathouse and all these skate surf stores. And I was like, it would be cool to just sort of create a clothing line that sort of tried to tell that story. I think too, like just with my past, like it's okay to express yourself in a different way and to like try something totally new, even when this is your reputation. So try to just sort of like kind of put that all together and tell a story of the brand that way. And straight shooter sort of is the name we landed on, just because of like, Ty, you're a straight shooter. Like it's a nice compliment, right? Like I felt like when I was playing too, the thing I hated most was people beating around the bush, like telling me like I'm doing this well. I like just keep going. But in my head, I just knew that there was some sort of flaw. And if I only knew, then maybe I could fix it.
All right.
So that's sort of like really short how we tell the story. But yeah, like now we're trying to get into like events and concerts, and we're doing little pieces of short videos and things like that my buddies are all acting in, and we have a good time with it.
Is that where the legendary Dan has ended up? It's
Yeah.
Dan, right?
Yeah. Don, I give you a lot of credit, because just the phone camera being pointed at you, I feel like you go from like your natural self to like just like frozen. So we're massaging all those like those uncomfortable moments out. But yeah, like it's so much fun. Like I got our garage outfitted like a little warehouse, and taking online orders and kind of just navigating through that whole thing. And there's a lot that comes with it, but it's fun. It's fun trying to like piece together the puzzle.
Pro tip: roll in rehearsals. Don't say action. Just turn it on and say, "What do you want? What would you say? Like what do you think would be? What would work?"
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. No, it's wild though, man. That it is. There's a whole thing where you're you're natural, you're calm, and then you're a robot.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah. All of a sudden, something point at you. You're like, what?
What do humans do? What do I do with my hands? My tongue is just so big in my mouth. What's going on?
Yeah. Dude, it's real.
Acting is pretty simple, but it can be complicated,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Wow. Wow.
We got
both this pros.
Yeah. Oh, boys, you can tell you're synced up. That was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, honestly, like I loved every minute of this, and I know it's 10 minutes to bedtime for you, Riley. So ton of love for you, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, Dylan. I don't know if you got anything else, but what a treat, man. Full circle moment. Speak your mind to bromance, to straight shooters. Filled with love. We're a bunch of straight shooters.
Heck yeah, no.
I'd love to be a straight shooter, bro. Yeah, I want to cut right to the chase here. Tell me what you're thinking. Here's what you're good at. Here's what you're not. Help me be better, I'll help you be better. You help me be better. We'll shoot each other straight.
That could be a commercial.
There
right
you go. Done for you.
There you go, man. For you, really, I'll lead into it, buddy. Let's make it happen.
Thanks,
All right.
fellas. This is great.
Appreciate you.
No, this is a lot of fun, man. Thanks so much.
Charm has been part of Canadian love stories for years, and love stories come in many different forms, and I'd like to share one with you. So my father played in the Western Hockey League and in the International Hockey League. And when he was playing in those leagues, he won championships. He won a Memorial Cup and a Turner Cup. This happened before I was born, and he had championship rings built that were tragically stolen before I was born. So my brothers and I used to go on the internet and try and find photos of these rings because, you know, we wanted to know what they looked like. They sort of became pieces of lore in our family. So once I got connected with Charm, I shared this story with them, and I expressed my interest in finding these rings and getting them together for my dad's 60th birthday. What they were able to do is pretty incredible. The family at Charm, they were able to track down the original moldings for the Memorial Cup ring and get that rebuilt. And the Turner Cup ring was a little harder. So what we ended up doing was we went to several of the guys that my dad had played with on that team who still had those rings, and they sent detailed photos of the rings. We sent those to Charm, and they actually built from scratch this beautiful championship ring for the Indianapolis Ice, which my dad was the captain of the team, and they won. So for his 60th birthday, my brothers and I and my mom were able to restore the trifecta. He's got a Turner Cup ring, a Calder Cup ring, and a Memorial Cup ring. So when Charm stepped up and made that dream come true, it was pretty special. I don't know if there was another company that could have delivered the way Charm did. Charm has been a part of Canadian Love Stories for over 50 years, and they are the proud sponsors of Bromance.